I'd like to call this meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council, serving as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to order at 3:03 p.m. And I'd like to open the machine for roll call, please. All right. Please let the record reflect that council members Black and Arborough are not present, and Dr. Gui is on the ferry, and he should be joining us shortly. All right. Moving along to the prayer and the pledge, please. We take this moment to acknowledge Almighty God and thank Him for our bountiful blessings, especially for the parish's natural resources. We give thanks to God for our brave and courageous men and women in our military who daily risk their lives to protect our precious freedom, and we pray for our world leaders to know how to obtain world peace. We pray that this government body, comprised of both council and administration, will always serve our parish with honesty, humility, and equality to all, and for the wisdom to know right from wrong and the courage to do that which is right. And as this government body gathers here today, we pray that we will be spared from all harm and destruction this hurricane season. Amen.
Amen.
Right. After me, I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since Dr. Gui isn't with us, we don't want him to miss any of the more crucial votes, so we'll move down to agenda item F, please.
A resolution to cancel the November 26, 2020 and December 24, 2020 regularly scheduled port meetings due to the Thanksgiving holiday and Christmas holiday and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'd like to offer, looking for a second. Seconded by Commissioner Russo. Any questions from the panel or audience? All right, hearing none.
Councilmember Bartholomew.
And please let the record reflect that all present council members are in favor. All right. All right. We'll go back up to the top of the agenda, please. What's that?
Item number 2, executive session, there is none. Item number 3, status report by the Executive Port Director.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chairman, members of the board. I'm Sandy Sanders, Executive Director of Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District. Follows as my Executive Director's report for the reporting period of 9 through 21 October. During this time frame, we met with the new team with Tallgrass regarding the Plaquemines Liquid Terminal, and I have invited them to visit and meet with our board members. I'm arranging their visit for the first week in November. Details will follow as far as times for meetings. We are preparing for our 2021 budget and have scheduled workshop meetings with our board members to review and familiarize themselves with the proposed budget prior to the public board meeting. Sign-ups are for 28 and 29 October, and a copy will be provided to you today. You have those? Okay. We conducted an all-Missouri port meeting with the Inland Port Network, which was hosted by the St. Louis Freightway. All 5 ports in the Inland Port Network within the state of Missouri were present, and we all briefed Governor Parsons, who was a huge proponent of the Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District and the Inland Port Network. Governor Parsons' comments were very well received, including the maritime distribution network we have set up in the state of Missouri, which he stated is the economic future of the state. The governor has committed millions in the Missouri ports infrastructure on this project and feels this will bring jobs and industry to the state. Lastly, a few meetings ago, we had a discussion regarding the port's calendar and the board's reviewing ability. It was discovered that there was a huge PPG IT disconnect that prevented members of the board from accurately seeing what was placed on the executive calendar. That is now remedied. But that also pours cold water on the assertion that the thought of leaks of sensitive information. If the information cannot be seen, it cannot be leaked. Hence, I totally take back that remark. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my report, subject to your questions or observations.
Sandy, thank you very much. It's all promising news. Really appreciate your update. Are there any questions from the board? Commissioner Russo.
Yes, that leads us into the next item, the discussion and update of the executive calendar. I want to, first of all, thank you for your acknowledging that there was no leak from anyone up here at this panel.
I told you I own it.
I understand that. I'm thanking you for that. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate it. And yesterday, we had Bob Jelpe and the consultant for the Port IT department fixed the issue to where we should be able to review the calendar. So in that regard, we are making good progress on the transparency. That has taken us some time, but we are getting there. I encourage you to maintain openness and transparency with the board if you want the relationship to continue. So I'll leave it at that. I'm glad that you made the remarks you did, so I will save all the remarks that I had, which would have been another confrontation. But since we've cleared this up, I will thank you.
Glad that's settled. All right, can we please move on to agenda item number 4? It's a bit of a softball. Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies, Commissioner Kognovich.
Did y'all ever find out what they have back there on that property with the pipes and the separator?
I'm sorry, could you say that again, please?
On Tallgrass's property. I'd asked y'all last meeting here that they had some pipes drilled in the ground and a separator hooked to it.
We did have an update with the PLT Tallgrass folks. I put that out there, and they are running that to ground.
All right, thank you.
And again, they'll be here the first week in November, so we'll set that up. But they have a new team. They brought them back in under their major investor.
Thank you.
Do you want to talk? Yeah.
And I'll make a point, sir, to make sure that we get that to you no later than close of business Monday. That's good enough time.
All right, thank you.
Make sure you get it to all of us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. LaFrance. All right. Any other questions? Rousseau, you're in the queue again? No. Okay, all right. Any questions by members of the audience? All right. We'll move along to agenda item number 4, please.
4A, for bids and advertisements, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of bids for furnishing bulk diesel fuel for the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District for a period of 1 year.
After due advertisement.
Hold on a minute.
Okay.
It needs to be offered.
Oh, a second.
Yeah, I'd like to offer it. Thank you. Could I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, seconded by Mr. LaFrance. Dr. Gui, we're just doing some low-hanging fruit here. All right. Shambrow, please continue. Thank you.
After due advertisement, the port recommends the low bidder of Ciroc All and Fuel to provide bulk diesel fuel for the port for 1 year.
All right. All right, what did the price per gallon come back as?
It is basically based on the markup per gallon, and Ciroc came in at 0.1920, and the other bidder came in at 0.30.
All right. All right, thank you very much. Any questions from the panel? Any questions from members of the audience? All right, moving forward with the vote, please. Oh, hold on a second. We have to wait this one out. Missing a couple. All right, let's go with it. All right. All right, please let the record reflect that Commissioners Gui and Mrs. Newberry are no longer in the room, and that the vote passes with Councilmembers Kognovich, LaFrance, Roussel, Blink, and Bartholomew voting in favor. All right,
Keep it the same.
okay. All right, moving down the agenda, please.
Do you want to go over 3A, financial report?
Yes, absolutely, we'll do that.
3A, financial report, budget to actual.
All port commissioners have been provided a 2020 total budget report and detailed budget report with actual expenditures shown as September 30th, 2020. As of September 30th, 2020, the port would have completed 75% of the year. Any expenditure categories with less than 20% remaining would yield immediate attention. We currently have none. Revenues with more than 30% remaining to be earned would yield immediate attention. We currently have our total revenues at about 31.94% remaining. The port staff has been working to prepare 2020 budget amendments for introductions because there will be some amendments made to the tariff revenues and expenditure budget. And we're mainly seeing that due to the effect of COVID-19 and the port industry effect it has had on that as a whole. We are forecasting about a $1 million cut on tariff revenues, and the expenditure amendments has also been prepared to mitigate those revenue cuts. Budget amendments will be introduced at the November meeting, hopefully, and I do plan to have a draft of that ordinance, those cuts and amendments at the upcoming budget meetings that we put out on October 28th and 29th. So hopefully we can get some discussion in of what's changed for 2020 and what we proposed for 2021 as well. As the executive director mentioned, Port Commissioners has been presented with the 2021 proposed budget. A copy will be available for the public at the public libraries located in Beerus, Port Selfer, and Belle Chase. Those are being sent through the carrier, so they should be arriving there by tomorrow. A copy of the 2021 proposed budget can also be found on the port's website. And I look forward to discussing that budget with the commissioners at our upcoming meetings. And that concludes my report, if there's no questions.
Shambrell, much appreciation for getting everything compiled. We appreciate the news from the real world out there, especially, we know it's not the best that there is going to be a slight dip in revenue due to COVID, but it's good to know what's up. Commissioner Kognovich.
Tariffs that we do to, like tugboats and all in the Venice area. If they rent a slip from the parish, do they still pay the tariffs?
We do not assess port tariffs in any boat harbors or marina. It's only within the jurisdiction of the river and if they are at facilities. So if a tug is docked at a certain anchorage facility within our tariff, then they are assessed docking fees. But as far as marinas, the port does not bill for being located in a parish marina.
Because I got a complaint from a vessel owner that they paying boat harbor fees, and I don't know how many days it's out or what, but he's getting a bigger tariff than boat harbor fee every month.
Mr. Durr looks like he wants to elaborate.
It's actually just the opposite. We've been having a problem for a number of years now. We have both crew boats and tugboats that are parking in the commercial fishermen's Venice Marina. Now, as per ordinance and resolution, that was established strictly for commercial fishermen. So to hide from us and hide from the tariff, they're parking these vessels in there. Now, I don't know if PPG is collecting or how that works. Of course, that's y'all's the other side of the house. But we do not go in the marinas, as Shambrell stated. We do not collect anything from anybody there in a marina, whether it's Venice Marina, Empire Marina, any of the boat harbors. Only the jump basin, slip 1 and 2, and the deep water Mississippi River. But that is something that I'm glad kind of came to light that you guys may be missing out on. We're missing out on it, but if you're not getting what we're missing, that there's a problem there that you can get some revenue.
I know the one I'm talking about pays a boat harbor slip fee, And I don't think he's hiding from anybody, but to park at a dock that Louisiana Fruit or Venice Port owns is probably 10 times more than what he would pay at the Venice Boat Harbor, but
Right. But actually, say again further, no crew boats or tugboats are supposed to be in the Venice Commercial Fishermen's parking spot. They've been doing this for a number of years. We have no authority from the port to go into y'all's property, PPG's property, and make them get out. But they've been doing this not only because of COVID, they've been doing this for a number of years. They park on those slips. Again, I don't know who's collecting or if they're paying PPG or not. But they're not in the commercial area where they're supposed to be at.
Maybe at another time, we need to have a discussion about
Sure.
transferring those few piers over to the port and, explore those options. Or it's a,
Again, you have to do an ordinance, you have to do a resolution ordinance change because that was dedicated for strictly
Yeah.
commercial fishermen.
I think it deserves some discussion before, we take any sort of legislative action. But
Sure.
maybe we need to set a meeting to talk about that, or you and Mr. Kognovich could set a meeting to talk about it with support staff.
Sure.
thank you.
All right, thank you all very much. Commissioner Russo.
Before you leave, Mr. Durr is correct about who should be in the marina. And as far as transferring the slips over to the port, we have a lease. I mean, the arrangement that we have on that property would probably prohibit us because we would be competing with the Venice Port Complex. The agreement that we have is for commercial fishermen. So before we get into that deep discussion, you need to do a little more research on that. What I wanted to ferret a little bit more on is the fact that if indeed Mr. Konovich's comments are correct that the individual is paying the boat slips, and if indeed he is getting a bill from the port, you may not have authority to go in there and do anything about him being in the slip, but obviously someone is going in there and tagging him with the tariff.
Yeah, and I'd love to do my own research on our side of the house, but I can't, but I know from the billing side and doing as many years I've done, that nobody's paying the port if they know they're not in the port's, we're not, I use the word caught, if they're not operating in the port's jurisdiction. I don't know why he would be paying a tariff. I can't see him paying both.
Donald, yeah, our billing is based on location. We receive anchorage reports, which we have the jurisdiction and authority to bill docking from anchorages and from facilities. So if it is not being reported from a facility or from an anchorage point of view, they are not receiving, or from our marine inspectors who do river inspections. If it is not being reported from those sources, they are not receiving a bill from the port.
So, Mr. Kognovich, Mr. Chairman, if I may, Mr.
Please.
Kognovich, probably the best thing to do is this individual that you're telling us about, if we can meet with them and see whatever documentation they have that they're receiving a bill from the port, let's sit down, let's look at it, work with that person, and then rectify any issues or whatever's being lost in translation. I think that'd be the best thing.
All right, thank you.
Sounds like a simple mistake that could be worked out. All right.
So I'm not finished.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Russo.
So, thank you, Mr. Durr. Back to the financial report. I do like the way that it's being presented now with the year-to-date revised actual and percent remaining and so forth, which I think, is an improvement into reports of the past. The only question I have is that when it states revised with rollover, what does the rollover represent?
Rollover represents any encumbrances we may have had from the previous year, because based on budget policy and budget law, those expenditures are allowed to be rolled over. And it also includes any budgets from 5-year capital improvement. Those as well are rolled over.
Okay, well, it's my understanding when you have the operational budget that, you usually close the books out for the audit, mid-year or so forth, and all of those bills should be paid, and so you shouldn't have a operational budget rollover. You can have a budget operational rollover for a contract capital expenditure and so forth, but that would be like a construction project or something.
Right. The only inclusions is the encumbrances. So basically, that's if you placed an order, like a purchase order, if you placed an order towards the end of the year and it has not been received or paid, those funds for that purchase or that encumbrance will roll over. So that way, you had approval in the previous year, and it's basically pending. Those will roll over.
Well, but my point is that we have to close the books out sometime. So the books should have been closed by now. The audit should have been completed. So to have a rollover for something that was done last year, that's not what I'm gathering.
It was ordered. It doesn't mean that it's processed. And due to the accrual accounting, I can't expense it within that year that it was ordered. And you can only expense it within the year when you receive it and you incur that liability. So again, it's only those that kind of cross over the years as far as encumbrances that will roll over. And you won't see a major difference unless it's a large expense that we're waiting on, but most of the time the rollovers are minor, but I make sure that I label those so that we can clearly see the difference between a proposed budget, an adopted budget, a revised budget, and the ones that do include the rollover.
Okay, we can continue this discussion when we have that budget meeting.
Okay.
The only other question that I have is that in the revenue stream of things, recently we had talked about property rents or option payments from Venture Global. And I'm not clear yet on what we have exercised and what we have not exercised as far as executing options. There's some concern in my mind as to we're not going to receive the $2 million payment this year, from what I understand. Correct?
I don't think that decision has been finalized. So in 2021, the option revenue is placed into the budget, and that will be changed up on official legislation or amendments to the current lease. So the current lease has not been amended to say that, so I did not remove the option revenue for 2021.
Well, the reason I asked this question is because just a few weeks ago, we had press releases and events that celebrated the execution of the lease.
The exercising of the lease option.
So that's the clarification that I'm looking for.
It's an exercise, bottom line is, it's the exercising of the lease option that eventually they will go and close on the lease. There's a 1-year period that's in the contract, as you know, when it was agreed upon and voted on almost 5 years ago. Now they have that process, I believe, up to August 2021 to close on the lease. In that time, there's a ability to have a $2 million option that would be prorated if they close on the lease prior to the August 2021 deadline. And that was in the press release and the reports that we sent out.
So the option lease is what we have been in for the last several years, where an option revenue or an option payment is made to the port to not basically advertise the property. And that is totally separate from the $10 million in advanced rents.
I understand that.
Okay.
But I'm trying to clarify in my mind, what has changed from the previous years where we were collecting $2 million in option payments?
Okay. So the previous years, you were collecting $2 million in option payments without them saying that we're definitely going into a lease. Now what they said is that we're exercising the lease option where we plan on going into the lease no later than August 2021. I would look at it as they had an option on the property for a while without a set date of when they would have to go into a lease. Now they said, we no longer want to look at just optioning it. We plan on going to the lease, so we exercise the lease option. And we know we have a timeline or end date on when that has to happen.
So let me again say that, would you have that document there and prepare it for when we have the budget review?
Okay?
Thank you.
It sounds like that would clear a lot of things up. Commissioner Kognovich.
In that contract where we keeping the property for them, is there a clause in it that says if they don't come, we get anything?
The option revenue, which is the $2 million that is paid to us annually, is Basically, it's revenue. It's no strings attached. We have earned it, and we are not liable to pay that option revenue back.
I mean, if they come in August and say, hey, we not coming at all,
Then the only money that is liable to be returned is the advance rents.
What's the total of that up to date, please?
It's,
Mr. Chairman, I think the best thing to do is that we bring in our attorney, Ken Rathburn, and that we have meetings with the board and spend an hour, 2 hours, or whatever is needed to go through every single detail. Now it's been 5 years since that document was executed. We have new board members. I think it's important that we break down every single issue, question, and we spend enough time so everybody's crystal clear on what the document says, and I think that would be most appropriate.
All right. I think knowing what our liability falls squarely under what our liability is on that piece of property, what we would owe if they walked out tomorrow or the day before the lease would be signed. I mean, I think that's a number that y'all might know and we would be satisfied with hearing, and then we can move on.
Right, but what we want to be able to do is not just answer a question, but we want to answer a question and be able to cite where it is in the document so that everyone has copies of the information. You can cite the document. Everybody clearly sees in black and white where everything is. I think we only have 2 or 3 members of the board that was there at the time when this document was signed and approved by this board. So with the 6 new members we have, I think it'd be really good to get everybody crystal clear on where in the document you can cite this so that you are fully aware of what's going on. I think that's the best way to do it than just answering bit by bit questions as they come.
Sounds like you're going to get back to us.
Yeah, and so
That's what I'm saying, is that we should have meetings where we all sit down, go over the entire document, go through every single question that you have so that not only can we answer the question, but we can also cite where in the document we've been able to answer that question. I think that's most appropriate.
Yeah, I think it is also, and I agree with that. The bottom line, though, is my understanding that the 10 million advance rents is the only funding that we would have to return if they didn't execute the lease. And that's not accurate?
No, sir. And I verified that after the last meeting. I asked the attorney, because I said, if they leave, we don't forfeit that 10 million. He said, no, we do not, unless there was a breach of contract, and there's been no breach of contract.
Okay, so we'll look at that when we have the budget hearing. Right?
Yes, sir.
Budget meeting, not the hearing.
Huh?
Thank you.
Mr. Russell, Mr. Chairman, I think it's best, even before a budget hearing or next meetings, whatever, whether it's executive session or meetings in our office, your office, we need to really spend time in the document so every question is answered. There are no assumptions from anyone at the table or on the staff on any issue, and the attorney can cite that information for everyone at the table. I think that's most appropriate, as opposed to saying one individual saying what they think it is, staff saying another. I think it's appropriate for us for all to be on the same page and be able to cite the information together.
Yeah, I've been ready to move on. All right, next agenda item, please. Commissioner Russo, you have anything else? You're still in the queue.
No,
All right. Moving along the agenda, please. Oh, Mr. Bartholomew. Oh, could you please speak into your mic, please? You can just get a little closer. Thank you.
I think it'd be most appropriate if we would also include our attorney with the documents for his approval, perusal of said documents, since it's involved this council that's, to review. I think he needs to have a copy of that.
I agree with that. We'll have, if we can make sure Danny's involved when those budget meetings come up, I'll have my office get an invite to you. All right, moving the agenda, down the agenda, please.
Item number 5, introduction of ordinances and resolutions. We have several, Mr. Chairman.
All right, please read them.
The first one is for Commissioner Arbro, an ordinance to amend and as amended readopt Plaquemines Parish. No? Okay, never mind. These are for Commissioner Blank. A resolution to provide insurance for the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District for a period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution to provide port employees group coverages consisting of health, dental, vision, and life, for the policy period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021, and otherwise to file with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing Maynard J. Sandy Sanders, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to enter memorandum of understanding for curatorial services, University of New Orleans, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District to dispose of disused movable property, specifically to dispose of a 2008 Chevy Suburban and a 2012 Ford F-250 utility truck on an as-is, whereas basis and in accordance with Louisiana statutes governing the disposal of movable property owned by a political subdivision of the state and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Resolution adopting the amendments to the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District's Accounting Policy and Employee Handbook. And the last introduction is a resolution authorizing Maynard J. Sandy Sanders, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to enter into a professional services agreement with Environmental Science Services, Inc. for GIS acquisition and implementation for the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And that is it for the introductions, Mr. Chairman.
Mrs. Marcotte, my apologies, but could you please go back to the disposal of the vehicles? Was the language there, mark those as surplus or to dispose of?
To dispose of.
Got it. Thank you. I thought we were going to mark those as surplus and explore moving those along to the parish government if able. For our discussion the other day.
I think you had a request that you wanted to potentially buy those.
If we need them, especially the panel truck may be needed by the
Well,
parish.
that's our current plan. So if you want to defer that item to try to figure that out, we can do that. But that's our plan right now, as the document states.
We'll introduce it and then modify it as needed.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify there. Thank you.
Donald,
Donald, please, yeah.
I'll let y'all hash out what you want to do with it, but I will let you know both of them have excess of 200-some thousand miles. The utility vehicle, that body's been transferred 3 times to the last 3 vehicles. It's rotted out.
Got it. Thank you.
And the Suburban needs front-end work and a rear end. And it's got a lot of miles. So just
Thank
let
you.
know.
Thank you very much. All right, moving along, please.
Item number 6, ordinances and resolutions on second reading and final passage. 6B, a resolution establishing the date, time, and place of public hearings on the proposed 2021 operating budget and capital improvement budget as submitted by the Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District to authorize the Council Secretary to place the necessary public notice in the Plaquemines Gazette and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Offered. Seconded by Kognovich.
You have the
Any discussion?
Are you,
When's the date?
are you
Oh.
filling in blanks?
Absolutely, yes. Monday, the 16th of November, correct?
Tuesday.
I'm sorry, Tuesday, the 17th of November. Thank you very much for the correction there. My apologies.
At a time?
9.
9 a.m. All right. Like to call a question? Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any discussion by members of the council, the audience, in the budget hearing dates?
Shown it as failed.
My apologies for the hiccups, y'all.
I'm sorry.
All right. All in attendance in favor? Moving along the agenda, please.
C, a resolution authorizing Maynard J. Sandy Sanders, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to lease a particular tract of land to Philway Construction LLC and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'd like to offer,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Kognovich. Any discussion from members of the council? Commissioner Roussel.
Yes, we're leasing a piece of property. Which section of the property that we are leasing to Philway, and how do we come about with a legal term and value Because in recent time, well, I'll go ahead and let you answer that first.
Yes, sir. This is property for a laydown area while they're working on the back levee. It's temporary. And what we do is we take the appraised value of a piano key at 8,000 an acre, and it's 3.5 acres. So we multiply 3.5 times 8, and then you multiply that by the rate of return, and we picked 8% rate of return, which comes out to $2,240. Divide that by 12. It's less than 200, so we just charged, we upped it to 500.
And so is this on any property that VG will be occupying, or this is a piano
sir.
key, you said?
No, sir. It's port-owned property, which allows him, again, a laydown area to work on the back levee. It's our property.
And, I mean, is it like parcel 2, 3, 4?
It's on 3,
Parcel 3?
a portion that VG is not going to lease.
Behind that house you was talking about.
Okay.
It's also not in construction way.
And the only other final question I have is that the legality of your formula, I've always been told, you have to put out public property for lease. You have to publicly bid it. We've gone through that with even a realtor that we've had to hire to be able to do this type of thing. So y'all have a legal opinion that this is the proper way to do this?
Our real estate guy discussed it with our attorney.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are there any other questions? Commissioner Russo, do you believe that $500 monthly is a fair market value for
Building?
a 3-acre parcel with a metal building warehouse on it?
I don't, you know.
You are a real estate agent, correct?
No, I don't want to speculate or give an opinion on the value of the property. I do know that in the past, when we've tried to deal with these properties, we didn't get any fair treatment. And I'll go back to the subdividing of the property for the drainage servitude. Now we're having to buy it, and then we're all getting sued for it, for the value and all. And yet we turn around and lease this to the property when they have their own property, and a lot of it that they could possibly use. But for convenience sake, we're leasing it to them for this minimum amount of money. And I want you to be aware that we are getting sued in this area for value. But, I understand you operate on the other side of the house. It's the famous words that I hear. However, we are the house on both sides and have to take that lawsuit and defend ourselves for the value.
Commissioner Kognovich?
The parish itself's leasing a piece of property to Phil Way that's a lot smaller than this with no building or nothing for $500 a month.
Commissioner Newberry?
Is there a harm leasing this property? I mean, what is the harm of us leasing property to Philway? Is it a convenience for Philway? I mean, Mr. Russo said they had property around the area.
It is a convenience, it's their proximity to their work area.
I don't think there's any harm. We just want to make sure that the port is being made completely whole. This may be, I don't know where you could find a warehouse for $500 a month, almost no matter where it's at.
It's a laydown yard.
With a warehouse,
They're
correct?
building,
Negative, if I may. There's a shell of a roof falling down of a corrugated metal building since Katrina. That's really not usable. And there's a slab that's probably 100 by 150. But the laydown that they're referring to is all high grass. It's grass. It's right adjacent to the roadway that goes back to the pumping station. This same parcel of land was used by KO when they were redoing that pumping station. So it's got a little gate there, it's a little slab, and it's very convenient because it's next to the road.
is this a matter of them just parking their trucks for the evening?
It's going to be parking trucks or either putting mud on it or just piling mud temporarily till they move it somewhere else, steel, things that they're going to be doing with the canal and the levee.
So they will use it for other,
Mr. Chairman, the price point that we've negotiated is solely based on laydown yard, not development of the property, just solely as a laydown yard.
You cannot rent a shack for $500 monthly in this parish right now, and feel like we're selling ourselves short at this price point. But shall we adjust the price?
I want to defer it, we'll have some more discussion on it.
How
I can tell them no if y'all want to just say no.
well, we agree that we want to lease it. We just want to make sure the port is being made whole, and we're getting
8% return, which is less than 200, so we charge them 500, so we're probably getting a 20% return.
all right.
That's not bad.
All right, are there any other questions from the board, from the audience? All right, hearing none. And the vote passes with Commissioner LaFrance voting nay. Moving on, please.
6D, a resolution electing the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District Chairperson for 2021 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'd like to offer.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Roussel. Oh, sure. All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep. All right, on number, line 8. Okay. Oh, Commissioner LaFrance, please, by all means.
I would like to nominate Richard Blank
Right.
as chairman.
I'll accept that nomination. And, all right, moving forward. All right, I'd like to call a question. Are there any discussion from the panel, the audience? Moving forward then. All right, thank you very much for your confidence in me. The vote passes. With all present voting in favor. And moving down the agenda to.
E, a resolution electing the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District Vice Chairperson for 2021 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
All right,
And we have a fill in the blank.
okay. All right, I would like to put in Commissioner Trudy Newberry as the vice chair.
Second.
All right, seconded by Commissioner Gui.
Doesn't need a second. Nomination don't need a second.
All right. Are there any questions from the board? Are there any questions from the audience? All right, hearing none, moving along, please. All right, and again, all present today voting in favor.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mrs. Newberry. It's a pleasure working with you, as always. All right, moving along, please.
7, new business. There are no introductions of resolutions where suspension is being sought. Number 8, approval of the September 24th, 2020 meeting minutes.
So offered.
Offered by Commissioner LaFrance, seconded by Blink. Call a question on that? All right. I'd like to, Commissioner Roussel offers a motion to adjourn, and I'll second that. And all present voting in favor. Thank you all very much for an efficient meeting. I call this meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council meeting as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District to close at 3:47 PM.